Greetings. Hi, I'm Dr. Walter Jacobson, a board certified psychiatrist. Okay, you need to ask. All right? If you want something, you need to ask. You can't expect people to read your mind and know what you want. Additionally, you can't expect people, if they do know what you want, to volunteer it without you asking. Now, some people do that, but in my experience, most people don't do that. So that if you want favors from people and people know that they are in a position to provide favors to other people, oftentimes they are reluctant to just volunteer it, and so they won't. And they're not evil people, they're not bad people, and they're not necessarily not your friends or whatever. But they just that seems to be sort of a human nature kind of thing. Some people recognize a need and offer assistance. Most people don't. They wait for somebody to actually put them on the spot. They wait for somebody to ask for what they want. The main point here is oftentimes if you don't ask, you don't get. Ask and you shall receive. Biblical phrase. I give it a lot of weight. I think there's a lot of power in that. Jack Canfield, the chicken soup of the soul guy, expert on success principles. One of his big things is about asking. That this is all about also about synchronicity, about bumping into people who you've never met, you don't know them, they're total strangers, and if you just talk about what you're doing, talk about what you need, you brainstorm with people, you network with people, you never know where it's going to go. And suddenly, out of nowhere, somebody could say, "Oh yeah, that occurs to me. I know somebody who's looking for something like what you have to offer here." So you need to ask. You need to ask. This was prompted by a friend of mine is he's like 62 and he's out of work, and it's this is not a good time to be 62 and out of work, right? I mean, the whole ageism thing is severe, and the competition in the workplace is severe, and many companies are they will hire young people at lower wages, and they don't care that these young people don't have experience or the level of competence that really their company deserves. They're just going on the fly with the cheaper labor pool. And so people who really have a lot of experience and talent and smarts like this guy does, he's out of luck. And so he's been trying to find work in his field, and it's coming up short. It's not happening, and this has been going on for a long time. But here's the interesting thing: the guy has contacts, he has connections in his field, that he's had relationships over decades, and he won't ask. There's a level of shame here. This is ego and shame, that to have to call up somebody who from years ago, and have to say, yeah, I'm having a hard time here. I'm falling on hard times. I can't put anything together. I need help. I need help. If you've got any kind of work for me, that would be appreciated. If you know anybody who needs what I do, if you can turn me on to that person. I mean, this is how the networking works. But you've got to ask. You've got to be humble, and you've got to put aside the pride and the ego and the shame. Yeah, it's brutal to have to do that. I relate to how painful, emotionally painful, and shaming all of that is. But you got to have food on the table. You can't go down the tubes because of pridefulness. And there are a lot of people out there. If you do say, "Hey, can you help out?" They will. And they'll be happy to, and it'll make them feel good about being able to help somebody, particularly somebody that they like and care about, and even if you haven't seen them in a long time, you had a connection once. But so this guy should be pulling out his Rolodex, or whatever we call that these days, his contact list, and he should be calling up people, and in the best way possible say, I'm looking for work. And I think that I think there's a good chance that he might get it that way, but there's no chance he's going to get it if he doesn't do that. If he just like calls someone up and says, "Hey, how's it going?" and they say, "Oh, everything's cool. How are you doing?" "Oh, well, I'm like re-engineering myself. I'm rebranding myself. Or I'm this, I'm that," and being really vague and acting like nothing's really going on, you know, you're not going to get anywhere for the most part. You got to ask. You've got to ask for what you want. And you also need to ask when you don't understand something. I also, by the way, I noticed that a lot of times, like doctors will tell patients stuff, well, you need to take this medicine. And they don't go, well, what for? Or they don't go, well, you know, why this and not that medicine? Or what are the side effects? Or is there going to be any interaction with the medicines I'm already taking? Or all sorts of questions. A lot of people don't ask. The doctor, a lot of times they'll come to me after they've seen a doctor for some medical issue, and they're on a certain medication, and I'll say, well, okay, so why did they, you know, what's the deal? Why are you on this medication? I don't know. He just told me to take it. You know, it's the doctor's job to inform you of why he wants you to take a medicine, what the risks, benefits, side effects, and alternatives are. But if he doesn't do that, you need to ask that. It's in your best interest to be informed. Then you can make an informed decision about your life, what medicines to take or not take, etc. So you got to ask. If something doesn't make sense, you need to ask. Uh, to act like you know what's going on when you don't, to act like you understand something when you don't, you know, most likely it's going to bite you in the butt later. So it doesn't mean that you're going to look foolish to ask. You need to ask. You need to clarify. You need to know what you know. And if you don't know something, you need to ask. Ask and you shall receive. All right, that's it. Thanks. Take care. See you next time.